Preparing live stream meeting. Ooh, got it. Has anybody got the actual stream up and running on their machine? Good. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like we're doing this tradition more than normal, like more intensely than normal. We're always
in a while.
Is this thing on?
It is on. Guess what? It is on.
Oh my god!
I won't believe you until I see the stream in my browser. But all right, that's awesome. Welcome to 9 out of 10 testers. It's been a while. So let's reintroduce ourselves. My name is Veerle Verhagen, and I'm a software tester at Dutch Railways, or as we call it, NS. And with me on the panel today, I've got the wonderful Sanne. You go.
Nice. So I'm Sanne Visser. I work for Capgemini, have done for nearly 4 years now, and I shall pass it on to Hanna.
Yeah, my name is Hanna Schlander, and I work at Devoteam Creative Tech in Sweden. And I'm passing it on to Chris.
Hey, I'm Chris Armstrong, and I work for Provar as a quality strategy manager. And we are remote, so I'm just anywhere I like, but I'm in Wales at the moment. And over to you, Shay.
Hey, I'm Shay. I work at Prima Insurance. I can say Prima Insurance instead of Assicurazioni because we are now launched in the UK.
Amazing.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm in London. So there we go. And right back at Vera.
Right, that's awesome. So as I said, it's been a while. We were off the air kind of for a little bit. We had a little summer break, and then our last session we were at Test Jam and we did a recording, which we uploaded later. And we've been having the same kind of anniversary first time style problems today. So checking in, like, are we live yet? Because we had to change around a few little things. And so before we get into today's topic, which is polarization, let's have a little moment of reflection. Why are we doing this?
Oh no, you really want us to remember?
Oh my god.
You mean it's not just us chatting?
I don't know, is it just us chatting? Yeah, why are we doing this?
All right, well, I think we got together originally because we had very different types of employment, and we wanted to talk about what it was like to be a tester in all these different places to work, and kind of give an overview of the diversity of jobs that testers can have. That's how we got ourselves kickstarted. I think pretty soon we discovered we had a lot to say about other aspects of working as a tester as well, and that really brought us together. And we have discussed a lot since then.
We have discussed a lot. And I think one of the things that we've noticed is that, I suppose this is true everywhere, but in the world of testing, discussions can get heated and topics can get a little bit polarized, I think. So that's why we're doing this session today. Actually, I suppose if we look at the previous discussions, it's been a long time coming. We discussed one of the littler things in our pet peeves episode, and I think that was on me especially. I get really annoyed when people drop deliberately divisive statements on Twitter just to get traction, such as like Windows or Mac. So Windows or Mac.
No, don't do the bad behavior that you're complaining about online as well.
Okay, good.
That's a better example, Veerle.
All right, okay, Sanne, take it away. You clearly got thoughts on this.
They do seem to be a bit of a, they are clickbait, and they obviously want to get you to react, but like they kind of make you feel like there are only two options to be choosing from. And I always think that's such a sad kind of way to get people to react. And obviously every tester will respond with something. You had a lovely thread about. They'll say, well, it depends. Well, Mac versus Windows. Well, that depends. If my assignment client hands me a Mac laptop, I am going to use that thing because that's what they give me, because that works for that job. It's like, I did feel that was an interesting thread, though. Like, you opened that conversation way less divisively. And I wish more people would follow that example.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to interrupt you just a second. I am looking at. I'm realizing that we're live on a private channel rather than a public one. We're not live on.
9 out of 10 testers.
No, we're not.
I could see
Oh,
the stream not starting, but I was like,
can see it
I'm just
starting.
gonna. Really?
It's going, yeah.
That's amazing.
I've got it up and running on YouTube.
Can you see me though? Can you see?
I can see you. Yeah, I've shared the link in the Slack.
I could see the stream on mine, not
Look,
on my link.
Karen can see us. Karen
Oh.
saying hello.
I was in the wrong channel then.
Yeah, so am I.
Karen! So we are live.
We're
Okay.
live, but are we live on the same YouTube link as before? Maybe not. Who knows?
No, I guess it's a different link.
Karen's on
Karen,
YouTube. Karen can see
thank
us. Hi,
you.
Karen.
Oh my gosh, I am such a nana.
Well,
Okay, right.
We did say this before we started, and we did say that we were struggling a little bit, just like the first time round, where we had to scramble last minute to get everything.
Is it a
set
different
up
link then?
tech-wise.
Are folks going to be on the wrong link on from LinkedIn and stuff? That'd be
I
fun.
think they are. Hang on, let's see if I can get this posted pretty darn quick.
I think on LinkedIn I shared the link to the channel, not to the actual.
That's clever. Yeah.
You know, that's much better.
You know, we are testers, so
right.
there is a level of embarrassment here, but
Good grief, I'm such a right.
Well,
Okay,
I think this is a first for us. Everyone just during the stream getting onto Twitter and saying, "Share the wrong link, everyone."
We've got the wrong link.
More people are popping in now as well. Lovely.
Oh,
We
good.
all hear it.
Oh.
Fine.
And
That's
here I was
right.
thinking nobody wanted to watch us today.
Oh, well, hello, friends. Thank you for joining.
So here's a sort of a polarized statement. In order to be a good tester, you have to understand how to live stream from Zoom to YouTube. Yes, no.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I think, where we go with the polarization. And that's what you said earlier, Sana. It's always like presenting things as if there's only two options. So there's yes or no. There's Mac or Windows. There's light mode or dark mode. And I guess that's one of the problems that we're seeing also in the world of testing, that discussions tend to get polarized, and discussions tend to be either we agree or you are wrong and I hate you.
Yeah, it's not even that I hate you. It's I hate you with the fiery passion that will send you to 3 levels of hell. It immediately goes, it escalates so badly. And it kind of scares me off of even sort of dipping a toe in those discussions, because like, can I even say something without having my head blown off? It makes me very hesitant to even wade in.
So it's almost taboo in a way, those topics.
Yeah, they feel dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is one of these things where, you know, so we've talked about sort of we talk often in this group and other groups about sort of people coming into the industry, and you know it becomes such a toxic place very quickly for people, and then they feel, I can't even bring up a normal sort of question because, oh no, we've discussed that before, and oh look, here's a flame war just again. This week it's the same, but with the same people and slightly different wording or something, and that is so debilitating for I think for testers, for people coming in, for people we mentor. You know, I think as leaders, when there are polarizing statements coming in and trying to either diffuse a situation or, you know, work with the situation and prevent the flame war, well, you know what, just be smart, step away, you know, seriously.
Right. So I feel that is sometimes difficult, because until quite recently I was sort of blissfully unaware of a lot of these discussions. And actually I feel really bad about doing this topic today, because I've got a few friends in InfoSec, Shay, that I think you know as well. And there always seems to be drama around them and in their industry. And I kind of always went like sort of half smug, like, I just love being a tester because we never have drama. Like everyone in testing is fucking sound. Everyone's just really chill. And then realizing that, oh my God, I am absolutely wrong. It's just that I've not really been willing or ready to mix myself into those discussions that has made the world of testing chill for me. And I'm just like, yeah, there's a few characters that I just tend to ignore completely. But yeah, to what extent can you afford to keep out of these discussions completely?
Wow, that's crazy because, eventually you're going to be triggered, aren't you? There are so many topics that go around. Eventually you're going to be triggered. I try to come from a point of respect with whomever is sort of jumping up and down on their soapbox. It's like, okay, I see your point, and I come back with this, and and eventually, if it's just it almost sometimes becomes like Godwin's law, isn't it? For those of you who don't know it, it's the all forum posts must stop when Hitler is mentioned, right? And there should be some sort of Godwin's law for testing of like, as soon as it gets to the sort of your mum stage, shut the hell up. And they do get that way. They get insipid, don't they? These conversations, and it's just. I mean, I've just looked across and seen Karen is sort of saying, on social media, avoid them but embrace them in real life. And that's the one thing is like social media. It's so anonymous and faceless. It's the age-old thing of like you can throw something over the wall, but because you don't know what you're going to hit. Whereas you would not say the same thing to my face or whatever if we were in a pub together. You do a bit of preamble with respect, or you change your language, or you probably would shut the hell up.
Actually, you do get them face to face.
Yes, there we go.
Story time?
Is that let's do a little bit of story time.
We need a jingle, don't we?
We do. We're gonna have you write one. So there was one time, and it is quite a few years back, but we were standing in a bar after a conference and having drinks and a chat. And as you do, you tend to end up chatting with strangers and having these really in-depth conversations. There's something about a conference bubble that really opens people up, which can be wonderful, but it can also lead to the situation I ended up in. So we were talking about what it takes to apply to become a speaker, writing an abstract, getting it selected. And at some point, I don't even quite remember why, but I mentioned that as a woman, I have a higher chance of being selected, because most program committees care a lot about diversity. So if you're a diverse speaker with a background that sort of helps the program become more varied in whatever way, you have a higher chance of being selected. And first I got the reaction, well, that's not right. That's not fair. I'm like, well, that's what the program committees find important. So it gives me a leg up. And honestly, as like about 20% of the typical testing population, it is harder for me to actually get on stage. So I don't really mind taking advantage of a little benefit like that, because it is already quite tough to break in. And then like, that's not ethical. And he really got incredibly aggro. And like, this is a stranger, you realize I've just met, and we're standing at the bar, like, and as you do, you're quite close to each other because of loud music and things like that. So and he gets really heated about how that is fundamentally unfair and it's discriminatory, and discrimination should be policed, and you should be thrown in jail if you do stuff like that because it's against the freaking law. And as he's getting more and more excited, he gets more and more in my face, and I start backing up quite physically. And I'm like, whoa, touched a nerve there, obviously.
Honestly, escalated really quickly as well. I think this is... You hit the Godwin's law of.
Yeah, and I did not know what to do with that. So basically just ran away to my friends and sort of, how you kind of dodge somebody in a crowd in the same room all night. It's like, get the hell away from me, you psycho. But it's like, people have these hair triggers and you never know where they are. And it's such an uncivil thing to do to somebody. And I think that's true for all discussions that go towards that sort of death threat Hitler / I will call the police, because that's discrimination kind of level of vitriol. I don't know. It's like, how do you bring a conversation like that back into civility? I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can.
I didn't even try.
Do you want to hear something really weird?
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit triggered because Shay, you mentioned earlier, like usually if you have these conversations in real life, you can see the person, and so you're more likely to sort of like be civil about it. And on social media, that is not the case. And I'm like, oh well, here Sana and I come to absolutely tear your statement to pieces, because I once had a really weird discussion on Twitter where this lady that I didn't know and I started off sort of, being not agreeing, and the longer we discussed it, the more we realized, oh wait, do we not actually agree? So it was weird. We started off, it was about this was in COVID times, and it was about the price of a concert ticket, and they were like, if we can let fewer people in to maintain distancing rules, then the ticket prices are going to have to go up, and how much more would you be willing to pay? And I was like, I'd go up to double. And then this lady was like, I could never afford to pay double. I'm like, well, do you only go to one concert a year then? Because if not, you could just have the amount. And so we ended up going like, yeah, but how much do you normally pay? And it turned out that she only went to like concert style Nightwish concerts, and I only go to like local concerts that only cost like €5 anyway. So we ended up being like, oh yeah, we totally agree. Like I would never pay more than like so and so for a concert ticket. And I never expected that to happen on social media.
Like a civil discussion about what started out as a disagreement.
How does that even happen? But yeah, I think the way that it happened was just basically going like trying to actually point out where I thought her reasoning was incorrect, and then realizing I had just misunderstood what she was saying. So maybe I should take this away and do this in real life as well.
It's a nice comment. Karen's put a comment here saying shame people don't come with warning labels. Which is quite a good one. But there are people that are trying to do things right, and I'm not saying everyone's solution to these things are great, but like people do try and do personality tests, or I did that love languages thing. But there's also some folks have done this communications read me for their workplaces, right, where they've said I'm better when you talk to me like this at this time, or if you address me in this way. Like there are people that are trying to do things, but I don't think it works for everybody, and we don't automatically come out saying, oh, this is me, this is where I come from, or we could write a ginormous bio in our social media to say this is everything I believe in. But do you know what, like it's I think we touched on it already, it's about respecting people and understanding context before drawing conclusions, which is really hard because we've all got biases and we've all got opinions, and we like to share them, and sometimes it's very quick and easy to jump to conclusions, and it's also sometimes it's really hard to feel like you can respect people because you don't feel respected back, right? And you're trying to resolve a situation when it isn't that way, and it could be like those little roadblocks can sometimes be the smallest things that don't let us talk. Like I often find it isn't the big issues, like the hills people are willing to die on are ridiculous sometimes, right?
They're anthills.
Yeah.
It's like they're from the Netherlands, right? You don't have hills.
Oh.
Hang on, that's a lie. I once went over a bridge that was like this.
Yeah, we die on bridges, not on hills. Riding your bike up them with a hangover. Anyway, I feel we have been very theoretical, so I'm just going to throw one of the topics that we testers get really tense about out there: manual versus automation.
Oh yeah.
Wait. Do you mean testing and checking?
Oh, there we go.
Bonus points for Chris. Testing and checking. Okay, yeah, we can do that one. We can do both. I don't mind.
Somewhere Richard Bradshaw is typing away. He's just gone.
Oh dear.
He just got a shiver in his spine and he doesn't understand why, and it's us.
Yeah, also two examples that get thrown into social media to death. It's like, well, I think every tester should be a manual tester. No, the other way around, sorry. No test automation.
But you know how Bas Dijkstra says like there's no such thing as a manual tester unless it's someone who tests manuals.
Yeah. I love that.
I love that one.
Hang on, we did that. That's what we should call ourselves, wasn't it? Like and
the
subscribe,
manual
people.
testers.
No, the previous, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's that's interesting. I mean, that does go circle around to what do we call ourselves? Manual, manual. Do we test manuals? It's the whole are we quality assurance? Are we quality checkers? Blah 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 blah. But to the whole manual tester versus automation tester polarization thing. I mean, that's so triggering for me, because for me, I mean, I've been in the place of leadership for most of my career, and fortunately, the way my career has gone, I've not ever had to become proficient in automation. I've never had that eureka moment where I'm able to go, oh yeah, I know how to code, dude. The Matrix thing. I know kung fu. And so for me, I class myself as a manual exploratory tester. And I've had discussions with people fairly recently at one stage where they're going, well, you can't actually be a tester unless you can read code down to the unit testing level and advise on it in a team. And I'm like, hi, 20 years testing.
Yes,
I
you can.
think you can.
Nice.
And this guy just, I mean, the most recent conversation I had, the person just wouldn't wouldn't back down. I mean, we'd had a couple of beers and stuff like that. It was a pub conversation, but they just wouldn't back down. And I'm like, dude, you're talking to somebody who has a career like that, and they're like, well, what if you get this kind of situation? You're like, then I test it as far as I can, and I speak with the developers. My thing is about conversations. Exploratory testing is about conversations. And yeah, that the manual versus automation, that's the most recent one that was just like, oh my gosh, yes, pub and everything like that. But still,
yeah, and
like,
again, if that's a conversation that doesn't lead you getting death threats through WhatsApp afterwards, like, how dare you even talk that way to me?
I would like to call on Hannah specifically, because Hannah, you're the one with the coolest job title here. You're the quality catalyst.
Quality catalyst, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you're also a lone tester in a pretty big team, aren't you? So you must do everything.
You would think so. I mean, I'm the catalyzing factor behind quality in the team. That doesn't necessarily mean I do everything. I mean, I do a little bit of automation. I would never call myself an automation tester. I just call myself a tester, because I don't really see the point in like labeling yourself. Fair enough, I would not go for a test automation job, because I'd probably not fill their needs. But yeah, so I do. Yeah.
Hannah, how do conversations go if someone challenges you on that? Like, you should be able to read this piece of code, or you should be able to review this unit test suite.
They don't dare to challenge me, Sanna.
Oh!
No, I mean,
you won't like me when I'm angry.
Exactly. No, but honestly, sometimes they talk to me like I'm one of the developers, and I have to remind them that, look, I can read code at like a basic level. But when they start to get like too technical into the code, I just say to them, you might as well be speaking Greek to me, because I don't understand a word you're saying. So like, simple it down a little bit and like talk about the context.
So do you think there are people that hold the opinion that you should and are just not vocalizing it? Or do you think that's not what's happening at all?
I don't think that's what's happening. I think the good thing about being in a DevOps project, and I think I've gotten back to this a lot of times, is that the developers do a lot of testing. They really care about the quality, because honestly, they don't want to get woken up in the middle of the night. Really good initiative to get people to do good quality, by the way. So, I mean, they work with automation, and I'm happy to coach them. But of course, our team is 14 people. I cannot do all the testing, because I'm just one person. And it's not possible. So I focus on the more quality thinking, and guide the rest of the people to do the stuff that I'm not good at.
Quality is
Yes.
everybody's responsibility. There we go. There's another little
Exactly.
bit of polarization, if you want, in a,
You know what?
in a development team.
I keep shouting this on my new team, but like I've not found any ways of actually like encouraging people and actually implementing it. Like I just keep saying it, and that is stage 1, I hope. And then I hope there will also be a stage 2. We'll see. Okay, does anyone feel comfortable dipping their toes into some slightly more serious topics?
Definitely.
Oh gosh.
Okay,
Do it.
so we already obviously pre-discussed this a little bit, but recently there was a bit of a bit of heat on social media. Anne-Marie Charette had written a blog post about context-driven testing, which is one of those topics that testers tend to get a little bit heated about.
Yeah, this one, it puzzled me from the very beginning. Like I came onto the scene around 2018-19, which is way beyond any of this stuff apparently actually happened, and always knew that there was a thing, but not understanding any of the details. And it took years through a lot of, social media fights and generally asking people, what the fuck is going on? Why is everyone yelling at each other on the internet? To understand where that was going. And I've never felt able or willing to give an opinion. Even now on this live stream, I'm hesitant to even say anything on the topic.
Because I'm just going to share the blog post link in the chat, just in case anyone wants to have a look.
Like the amount of vitriol and hate that comes from fans on both ends of the spectrum is stunning, and it's very, very scary to me. Like I have opinions, but even now I'm like,
yeah. But so this is weird. Like the topic got apparently so divided that at this point you can't even talk about it anymore without being a little bit scared of what that's going to mean for your social contacts, your career, possibly. How did we get there? It's weird.
Yeah, there's camps, and they have very, very strong supporters, and those are not discussions, those are people yelling at each other. I don't think there's been a constructive talk about any of the differences in thought for a long time.
So how do we get out of this? How do we stop these topics from being taboo, essentially?
I don't know, like with famous people, wait until they die.
There's an interesting thing there, because oh gosh, I've now forgotten his name. He wrote How We Tested Google and How We Tested Microsoft. Gosh, I've now forgotten.
Someone in the comments will drop it in a minute.
Somebody help me out here, bloody hell. He'll come back to me. Whitaker. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, this is a crap story when I can't even remember the name of the person, but he was one of the people that sort of just put himself out there and goes, I can break any piece of software. Give me a piece of software, and you do that at conferences. Give me a piece of software, I'll break it. And he was known for that. And then he wrote the how we tested Google, it was an interesting one that he put out there. And he's moved on, and people still refer to the book and things like that, and it's really, really still relevant and things like that. But yeah, what I'm saying is, like, do we actually need to wait for people to pop their clogs to change the industry, or is it just a case of, I don't know, gathering people around us with an alternative opinion and just not really having it out, but just sort of saying, I see what you're saying, but there are other sides to the story.
So there, I guess we come back to the question that we posed earlier. Can you afford to stay out of these discussions? Can you afford to say, I'm not getting into this? Is that an option?
Yes, absolutely it is.
Yeah,
absolutely it is. And it's maybe not sort of the great sort of discussion starter, because that is kind of it. That's the discussion done, isn't it? But I think really important is if the more people who, when some of these discussion happen in the soapbox area of Twitter, just walk away. If they're shouting into nothingness, well, maybe they'll start thinking, okay, maybe my opinion does need to change. If it's that kind of thing of like, you go, yeah, I'm just not listening to you.
I want to challenge calling those tweet storms discussions, because like we talked about things as soon as Hitler's mentioned, that's the end of it. But like they are very much not about moving us or the profession forward anymore, despite what people in the conversations might feel. It's not bringing us to a next level or getting our profession to a next level. It's about yelling at each other at this point. At least that's how it feels. And it doesn't just happen in this area, by the way. We've had the same kind of, I think, discussions, again, the word, people shouting at each other about paying to speak, where there's clearly two camps and they can be incredibly vocal.
It's not discussion, it's flame wars. It's
a good word for it. And I like people with strong opinions. I mean, obviously I talk to you every month, but there's like strong opinions loosely held, and there's strong opinions and on this hill I will die, and do not try and come for me because I will set my army loose upon you kind of differences.
I think also the only, broadly speaking, when there are things being broadcast and people taking them without being challenged, that there's sort of the points where we're saying certain topics are taboo, apart from those big, bold people who are broadcasting, that only gives power to the people who are broadcasting. To your point, Sanna, that if we don't have a way, I'm not saying we directly always go and challenge people, but if we're not having conversations, if we're not doing those things that help us to further our craft, like you said, then we aren't furthering things on, and the voice that's alone suddenly becomes the only rhetoric that people can find when they want to discuss these things. But there is a way that puts people off tremendously because of the toxic reactions you can get, because of the volatility, because of the bullying and the lack of respect and understanding people are willing to have, and to have an open forum that is fair to discuss things. Because I think we would all agree, and this is me talking on your behalf,
Keeping an eye on you.
We would all agree
trigger alert.
that we're all speaking a language called English, but it is not native for everyone in this discussion. And so the choice of words that we have may be different words, but actually I know and respect you. And so when you construct a sentence in a different way to how I was taught in school, I'm not going to immediately stop and go, nope, you're wrong. That's an incorrect thing. Because language is something that is important to be understood. I am projecting what I think to you and you understand what I'm saying without having to nitpick on these little tidbits as we're going forward. We've said about little terminologies and things, but the way we do things, if the job is getting done, does it matter? And I think the worst thing with taboo subjects is not addressing them. Like, some of us have been children brought up in homes where topics were taboo, and then you become an adult and you discover stuff and you're messed up because you don't know, and you've got like internal wranglings and you don't know, am I allowed to do that? Can I do this? And you feel like guilt or misunderstanding or being ill prepared for these sorts of things. And yes, there's a way in, if you're talking to children, there's a way of introducing topics and subjects to them in a way that's relevant to their context, but that also works in our profession. understand context and understand bringing things into people so they can understand the language and the history and why we are in this interesting situation today.
And that, I think, to your point, in terms of feeling it was a whole thing and knowing everyone danced around it, but it took years to actually get a perception on the whole argument between the two camps and why it had occurred, which is multi-layered and complex. None of it is incredibly simple. But the fact that it took that long, I think, speaks to your point. If you don't discuss it, if you don't talk about it with new voices, the only one people find is the ones that were already there shouting at the top of their lungs. And as much as it's fundamentally unfair that the loudest gets the attention, maybe it is worth the risk of speaking up. Again, I'm still not sure that that should be me.
I feel like even on this episode today on polarization, we're kind of dancing around through the topics a little bit, because I think we were sort of planning on just addressing it head on, and we still haven't.
No, fair enough.
We've mentioned the blog post.
Stop being dicks. If you are the person who is shouting the loudest and using the most exclamation marks in a Twitter not discussion, or on a forum not discussion, or whatever, you're the dick. Stop being a dick.
All right, so head on.
Okay, so
now Sebastian's also asking.
Yeah, Sebastian's asking it, and I think the blog post we mentioned was relevant, so I'm going to share that again. But Sanne, you take it away.
Right. So this is about the context-driven testing camp and the later methodologies that grew up after it, and the following around Michael Bolton. This is what we're talking about. So this is a group that has incredible loyalty to the ideas of context-driven testing. And honestly, and now I will raise my voice, I find a lot of their material incredibly useful. I have used them, I have read the stuff, and I still follow some of those blogs of people within that camp. I also equally follow people like Anne-Marie and a lot of other people like Marit. And that's the other camp that's clearly established that there are these two areas, and there's value there too. And as much as I appreciate both, I find it very difficult to discuss these, especially at conferences, because there is such a kind of I'm either one or the other, and it can get heated very quickly.
I'm super triggered now, because when I started my new job 3 months ago, I at some point tweeted something like, "Oh wow, this new job is making me go over some of the, let's say, classic literature and some of the classic articles about testing, and it's really great revising all of this." And somebody asked me, "Oh, which articles, if I may ask?" And I was like, "Oh shit, there's like 5 Michael Bolton articles in here, and I'm gonna get lynched."
Yeah,
if I say that.
And the next 3 you want to share are James Bach, and you're like,
maybe. You're like, I just can't. Just randomly pull articles off the internet sooner than doing that. But like, yeah, it's one of those things. Like, why is it so risky for your career and your social contacts to say that you're reading an article by a person? Yeah, sucks.
Well, it's because of those two camps, and it's because when you do that, somebody may call you a CUNT. They might. Yeah,
and I'm used to that, so it shouldn't frighten me, but it does.
And you know, the thing is, it's all about context, right? I mean, using Chris's one of Chris's favorite things, and he's probably, has he got the post-it note at hand? No, but anyway, the context. You know, I'm reading this article because I find this part really, really good. There we go, context. And this article I find really awesome because of this. I have 10 articles, and there's a couple of sentences that really hit home for me, but the rest I don't really care for, or some of it I downright disagree with. But that's okay. This is my article, and I think that's where, if you're going to jump on your soapbox and go, "Oh, how can you read all of those by I hate saying Michael Bolton, James Bagg, la 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 la, because you know what? Anybody who's ever written a blog post has written something that somebody else does not agree with and does not like. It's not just these people. Yes, we end up in the big Twitter storms with them, but that's not the whole point, is it? They may be the people who have written the most blog posts, but and therefore they're going to be the ones who have the most people disagreeing and agreeing with them. But when you put yourself out there, this is me. When I put myself out there and I share something, like Sun has been saying, it's like I do it like, oh my God, I'm just about to get killed because of that bloody vitriol. And you know what? The community needs to get their asses in gear, because if you see that article pointed at you and you go, oh man, I really disagree with it, instead of going, how the fuck can you like that? You're an idiot, blah 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 blah. Go, I'm really interested to find out which parts you found interesting, or was the whole article relevant? Because I didn't find it that way. I'd love to have a discussion. You know what? Try that. Get off the bloody exclamation mark button and don't be the dick in the conversation.
Yeah. Tap caps because it's clearly on.
Yeah. I mean, God, this is my whole rant today. I think is just like, dudes, just have a freaking discussion than an article, than a whole bloody Twitter rant, Twitter storm. Step back.
And there's a forum to do it as well, right? Sometimes stuff is more personal, and you should talk to people not in a public forum. Like there's a right way to do things based on the context that you've got. Sometimes like something you just find these threads sometimes where two people are just having a conversation, you're thinking, I shouldn't be able to see this conversation.
Yeah. True.
You mean you can talk not openly on social media as well?
It's possible to talk to people
What?
offline, like we call it. It's like, but also to your point about like people commenting on things for a discussion. We're testers. We work in software. We thrive on feedback, but only when it's useful feedback. And we need to have a way of filtering that stuff out to be able to find those things. And sometimes that means we spend a lot of our spoons trying to deal with that, and sometimes we can't deal with that stuff as well, right? There is a mental health implication to these things, where some of us have been super active and then all of a sudden we just disappear because we've got to protect ourselves because things do get too far. It's kind of wild. We need to have these conversations, but we need to have safe places and safe spaces. This is where codes of conduct and things, I guess, come into play, right?
Yes, if only some megalomaniac hadn't just bought a big social media company.
You
You know
talking
what?
about anything specific?
I'll leave it there.
I was going to say, as the facilitator today, I'm going to cut you off right there because that is another 45-minute rant coming up, I feel. So we're gonna do a little shorter one today, I feel. Yeah. So does anyone want to add anything, or shall we just say goodbye? List our Twitter handles, our Mastodon handles now.
We just want to go around the room and give like a bit of like
comments,
like advice on what to do with these things.
All right, you start us
Do
off.
you have any? Because I don't.
I mean, even if you're passionate about something, also be compassionate about it. Like, think about that people are actually human beings, and there's a person behind the screen. So even though you're passionate, still be civil when you talk to them, because there's no point in going down to the playground level and discussing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So today took a bit of courage. So I think that would be if you are going to speak up, then do so. And there might be consequences, but I think it's worth it to add new voices, because that way, at least there is something else for people to look at when it comes to these kind of camps. And that's worth adding to and keep building us as testers, because how else are we gonna grow? That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I was going to say something a bit flippant about let's have Shay's law about if you're the most caps lock in the conversation, then it's time to stop. But you know what? I want to build on Sana's thing there of perhaps also if you are there's a bit of safety in numbers, right? And we all have our allies that we go to, and you can test that out and you can say, hey, look, I'm going to be putting this out here. Can you just keep an eye on it? And, you know, maybe that's something as well. Have your allies with you, and it's not so that we have a them and us thing. It's so that if it does get a bit horrible out there, you've got someone who goes, hey, look, it's all right. You did the right thing. So draw on your allies, draw on your friends, and yeah, maybe we should have healthy discussion from the point of compassion and understanding.
Cool.
I've found a Twitter thread that I wrote about this sort of topic a while ago.
Wow.
Would you like me to take you to Story Corner for a brief moment where I read to you?
Go.
Be indulgent. Go on. Okay, so I said it's very easy to sit and watch testing Twitter and forget to participate. Actually, it can be terrifying at times, putting yourself out there in any way. I've been thinking more and more about feedback and optics of late. In a meeting at work this week, someone mentioned that if you wouldn't say it to someone's face, you shouldn't write it and publish it, which is a nice enough rule, I guess. But even still, we all have different filters, giving and receiving information in different ways. And I always look for the positives in people and situations. As a tester, I will endeavor to seek context first and be very willing to change my behavior and outlook based on that and the interactions that I have. Another thing is that the more I find out, the less there is that I know. In the testing community, be it here or in other circles where we mix, I try to remember that what I do can affect real humans. Where I can, I want to use the privilege and stage that I have to bring positive change. Should I call out toxic behavior and such? Yes. Should I seek out that context first to better understand things? Of course. I think of it like a front page of a newspaper headline that publishes something false. Then they publish a correction or a retraction on page 12 in small font. Damage can be done. But what about positivity? We want to encourage more voices and respectful discourse and model the types of behavior that builds us up. See something you like? Tell those people. Content creators, bloggers, speakers, YouTubers, tweeters, hey, we all thrive on feedback. If you have something that doesn't sit right, or there are things you don't agree with, or even typos, reading tweets and stuff, they're always there. There will be some, but there's a way to give feedback constructively and respectfully. This won't always be gratefully received, of course. And we have seen instances where things get a little out of hand. Please be mindful of your own mental health with all of these things. Conflict can be so negative and sometimes threads will blow up. Let's look after each other.
We can't top that.
Fucking bravo.
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. That's the
Yeah,
end of the street,
that's it.
folks. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Sana, where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
I'm at Simply Sana on all the big platforms. Find me there and I can have a normal conversation with some new voices. Hook me up.
Excellent. Hannah?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, just search for Hannah Schlander and they should appear. I'm also on Twitter, but not very active. And I'm also up for conversations, but at a civil level, please.
Perfect. Chris?
I am Christovskia on the socials that I actually exist on at the moment. I haven't yet ventured onto Mastodon because I'm slightly terrified because it's a bit weird. That's just to me. But yes, I'm Christovskia. You can find it. I put my Twitter thread in the live chat, so you'll be able to find me there.
All right. And Shay?
Yeah, I'm at Shay Mouse on the socials, pretty much everywhere. Easy to find because my name is spelled fairly uniquely. We have a tester hangout Discord, so if you want to jump on there, the 9 out of 10 testers have been granted our own channel on there, and that's wonderful. So shout out to Lee Marshall for that. And I am going to do something that I haven't done yet on any of the other videos because I'm an idiot, but this one, I've actually been taking show notes. So I'll try and put all of these things we mentioned today in the show notes in a timely manner. There we go.
Like and subscribe, like and subscribe.
Exactly. Press the button wherever it is. I don't know. A Macarena, all the rest of it. And Virla.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Witch of the Test. You can find me on LinkedIn. I actually updated it yesterday for the first time in months, so I might actually see your message. And of course, you can reach all of us on Twitter at 9 out of 10 testers, with the numbers 9 and 10 being numbers and the rest being words. And that's all for this week. Next time,
at the online test conf, and we will be there with all the other people.
And it's going to be so good. Online test conf. Find it online at what is it? onlinetestconf.org, I think, isn't it? Yes, perfect. That's the 29th of November.
Exactly. We're not sure when our slot is yet, but we'll update you as soon as we have it. But definitely catch us there, where we'll be talking about, the things that annoy us, our staples again. So it should be a good one.
Oh, mate, I'm so looking forward to this. I can't wait. So, hey, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, see you next
Thank
time.
you.
Now I just have to figure out which computer I'm on to end the stream.
Yay.
Continue those love hearts going, and then we'll say, are we done yet? Hang on. Here we go.
Are we off yet?
No.
yet? And now?
Wait for it.